The NAB Challenge is taking AFL all over the country. Today it's the city of Morwell, part of the Latrobe Valley. It's a town with a big power industry and a rich football history. And the locals, there's plenty of them. To see KIlda play Essendon today, well, sort of. Of course, the young Saints, following a narrow loss to Brisbane last week in NAB 1, are continuing to try and put games into their young squad. And they will come up against an Essendon team that, well, is almost unrecognisable. But we're looking forward to a big game here this afternoon at the Morwell Recreation Reserve. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Fox Footy and welcome to champion goal kicker and one of the superstars of our game, Jason Dunstall. How are you, Jace?
I'm very well. Hello. Looking forward to this afternoon. An overcast day in Morwell, a little bit of breeze around, but a beautiful surface for the ground. And I think there's even more interest than a normal NAB Challenge game today because we're going to see a new-look Essendon lineup. But I also want to see what the Saints can offer. Can they build a bit of momentum throughout the pre-season? Let's
have a look at the St Kilda lineup this afternoon because it's been a bit of a tricky one for them. I'm sure they'd rather just play a team that they know and are familiar with. But on the other hand, this time of the year is about yourself, isn't it? More than
it is. Look, no Nick Revolt, we know that. But Lee Montagna, David Armitage, they've got some good leaders in the engine room. We're all looking forward to Paddy McCartan up forward to see what he can do. And big raps on Hugh Goddard as well. We believe he'll start down in the back six where he's been doing a lot of his pre-season work. So, look, some good youngsters coming through. Some of those players that have been there for 1, 2, 3 years now need to build on that. They need to make themselves regulars if they're going to start climbing the table.
Now, have a look at this at home, folks. This is the Essendon team, of course, with all that's going on with the supplement saga. We've got a team made up of recent recruits, players who weren't at the club in 2012, some VFL players, and also some top-ups, some ex-AFL players from various clubs that are given a chance maybe to impress and who knows, get picked up next year.
Exactly. We spoke to Mark Harvey, Essendon assistant coach, a little earlier. He said, Kyle Langford, keep an eye on him. He's going to be a very good player. I asked him about Longy's boy. He said, you'll see a little bit of Michael in him. He'll do a few things like that.
Very raw, I think.
Tiverton Woody's another one that you're going to have to call today, Hutto. So he's going to be an exciting goal sneak up forward. Look, it's going to be an interesting one. We don't know what we're going to get, but what they do need to do is just give their all. They're going to have to simplify their game plan a little bit, I think, because even though these players that are coming in have had AFL experience, they haven't been training under the systems and structures that Essendon have been implementing.
No, there's been a fair few distractions, it's fair to say, hasn't it, out at Essendon's new base at the airport in, well, I'm going to say recent months, but really we're talking about a number of years now that this has gone on. And on field, they've done an incredible job to hold it all together. Again, there's just great uncertainty right now, isn't there? They don't know how long this is going to last, whether these guys, in fact, are going to have to make up a lot of their team in round one.
Well, that's right. I mean, I guess the flip side of that is, let's not forget, they've had a normal pre-season. Aside from being able to play these games or wanting to play these games because of what might happen further down the track, they've still had a normal pre-season. They've got the time and the miles and the competitive football drills into these guys, so they'll be ready to go come round one. We just don't know which team's coming out.
Paul Chapman is going to be the captain. I think it's the first time he's ever captained an AFL team, so it'll be a big day for Chappie. We talked about some of those top-up players, and maybe let's get your analysis on whether any of these guys might be able to get a second chance at AFL level. You wouldn't think Clint Jones will get another chance. He's been a fine player for St Kilda for a long time, but he's obviously keen to give it another crack.
Knows the opposition, plays for St Kilda's reserves now in Sandringham, so that's interesting. Mitch Brown couldn't quite hold down a key forward position of the Cats. He'll be looking for another chance. And Jared Petrenko, well, we know he's a great defensive forward. He can kick goals, he's got speed, he can tackle. James Polkinghorne played nearly 100 games with Brisbane, so plenty of experience there. Mitch Clisby didn't quite get himself set at the D's. And Jordan Schroeder, another young cat who's keen to get himself at least seen in AFL circles again.
Yeah, he was one of 3 players that tied for the listed medal in the VFL a couple of years ago, so can play footy, has just, as you said, just played the 5 games, so no doubt he'll be looking to impress. But we're going to have a chat to the coach of the Essendon Footy Club, James Hurd, in just a moment. He's wandering our way and joins us now. Welcome, Hurdy. How are you going?
Thanks, Hutto. Very well, thank you.
It's been a while for you to coach. So how does it actually feel for you getting ready to coach again?
Yeah, it's good. It's great. I mean, it's a different team to coach, and looking forward to the day.
How are you approaching it then?
Oh, we're approaching is want to win the game. I think we've got a lot of guys who have a lot to prove. Obviously, our listed players want to prepare for round one, and the guys that aren't on the list and have been brought in want to show that they're good enough to play AFL football.
Do you simplify the game plan a little, given that a number of these guys haven't been practising the structures and game styles that you practice throughout the pre-season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we're not going with a whole game style or game structure. I think one of the questions I asked Jared Petrenko yesterday was how long has he been here for? He said 7 days. So that's probably not enough to teach everything that we wanted to teach. weeks. But, you know, we're excited, he's excited, and we'll go out and give our best effort.
We were just chatting before that, aside from perhaps not being able to play NAB Challenge, it's been a normal pre-season for the rest of the players. And I know yesterday evening most of the senior players had some good match simulation. You got some good drills into them. How did that go?
Went very well. Yeah, a few sore bodies today, and the match simulation went well, and I think Williamstown and Andy Collins were very happy as well. So, yeah, we've had a very good pre-season in terms of getting a lot of load into most of our players, and you know, today's another step towards round one.
Are there a few young players that have stood out for you through pre-season that you're expecting to really jump up this year?
Yeah, I think Elliot Kavanagh is one who's been in our system for 3 years, and this is his 4th pre-season. He's been terrific for the pre-season, so I hope for his sake and for our sake he has a terrific day today.
Anyone else to look out for today for the Bomber fans?
I think there's a lot. I think you know, some of the guys that have come in. I think Jonathan Giles is a ruck combination coming from GWS. We're really excited about what he's done so far, and you know, Jason Ashby off half-back, Marty Gleeson off half-back. So there's a lot to look forward to for Essendon fans.
Good luck today.
Thanks very much.
Thanks,
Thanks, guys.
James Hurd joining us as we're not far away from the bounce of the ball here, Jace. So it looks going to be interesting to see how they fare.
Yeah, looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a beauty. We don't know what the result's going to be. We don't know exactly how it's going to play out, but I've kind of got a real keen interest in this one.
All right, let's check in with Roger Aldridge now from ladbrokes.com.au.
Thanks, Hutto. Well, as far as betting matches go in the pre-season, they don't get much more fascinating than this. The Saints, not far from full strength, against the replacements, or the Bombers, as they're officially known. Could the top-up players desperate to impress prove the difference against the side still learning how to win, or will the class of currently listed AFL players come to the fore? Fascinating on so many levels. Check out the markets on this match and plenty more at ladbrokes.com.au, and remember, gamble responsibly.
Thanks, Rog. Well, Paddy McCartan and some of the other young Saints are just about ready to go, and we'll take a break, come back with that opening bounce of this NAB Challenge clash in just a moment. The two captains, Jaron Geary gets the honour today for St Kilda, and Paul Chapman, the former Star Cat, will be leading this side, the Bombers, as they do battle at the Morwell Recreation Reserve. Former Bulldog superstar Brad Johnson is alongside gun goal kicker Jason Dunstall in commentary this afternoon. And we should just mention the Actron air weather. 20 degrees is the current temperature, which is pretty comfortable. There is a bit of a threat of some showers around Jono, but it looks like it's holding for the moment.
Yeah, thank you, Hutto. Good afternoon, Jason, everyone. It's yeah, fantastic here. It really is the perfect afternoon for footy. That rain does hold off. It's got a good cloud cover. Ground is in magnificent condition. It really is sensational. So looking forward to today, looking forward to the Saints, see whether they can get some good transition to their gun key forwards that they'll have up there this afternoon in McCartan and Membry, and then the Bombers, of course, with what they'll produce. We wait and see how the players that they have come in, certainly whether they can have an impact in today's game.
Alan Richardson looking on and ready for action for his season. As I mentioned at the start, they played Brisbane last week up in Queensland, had a narrow loss, finished strongly to that game, so they'll be looking to continue that form. Of course, without a number of their stars, still no Nick Revolt. Sam Fisher was in the squad, but he's been left out today, so a real opportunity. A few sprinkling of older heads like Lee Montagna. There's a pretty experienced coaches box Essendon have now, with 4 either current or former coaches in the coaching group, with Neil Craig and Mark Neild, and also Mark Harvey, as we saw before. There's young Marty Gleeson.
We should say good luck to you, Hutto. It won't be an easy game to call today, but I know you'll do it with great aplomb.
I'll leave plenty of space for you and Jono to come in, but we're underway. And big Jonathan Giles, we saw him for a number of years with GWS, getting up nice and strong early. Montagna working it back to Geary. Good to see some familiar faces with the footy. Blake Akers, who had plenty of injury problems in his first year, and he was unable to find a teammate. Merritt takes it for Essendon, and there's a man we're going to be excited about, Anthony McDonald Tippenwoody. He's taken the mark.
Nickname Tipper.
We might just go with
that this afternoon.
We've had the Big Dipper before. Now we've got the Big Tipper, and the Saints are linking up across half back, up towards half forward, over McCartan's head. And the mark is well judged back there by Josh Freezer, who's an experienced VFL player for Essendon.
Yeah, the last couple of kicks going forward for the Saints have just been over the top of the head of the leading St Kilda players. So they just need to kick it as far as they can, kick to the advantage of their teammates.
Gleeson perhaps getting a little over-exuberant there. He's given away the free and it quickly comes out to Geary from 9-point range. Fair to say that one wobbled right across the face. And trying to track it down is Tim Membry, the former Swan. Kicked a goal last week in his first game in the St Kilda Guernsey. Goes back to Seb Ross.
This man on screen's had a huge pre-season. I know a lot of players do, but you have a couple that stand out for your club. Ross is one of those from a St Kilda point of view. Shenton is the other one that the Saints have been excited about this summer.
13 games in the past 2 seasons for Seb Ross. Is that a mark to Bruce? No.
Tried to steal it over the top, but I think the Bombers had first hands on it. But Tim Membry is going to be an interesting player for the Saints. He dominated the lower level, couldn't break into Sydney's lineup, gets his opportunity now.
Some of the numbers are interesting, aren't they?
Yeah, there's been some big numbers out there too.
Sam Michaels wearing number 77, which is the highest number out there.
Mitch Brown, who spent a lot of time down at Geelong, number 73, started at full back, where he did play a lot of his footy with the Cats in the forward line.
He's played at both ends, hasn't he?
Yep.
I saw Jared Petrenko there before, another familiar face, number 75.
And Josh Bruce is starting forward for the Saints. We've seen him predominantly play as a key defender as well.
Yeah, just towards the end of last year.
They played him a little bit there, so it's obviously something they think has merit going forward.
Fairly scrappy affair so far.
Straight to it. Thank you. Right, we are clearing out.
David Armitage on the bottom of all that, but it's Merritt comes up with the ball for the Bombers.
Still mate.
Keep it moving, Freezer. He does along the line to Jones, and then Nick O'Brien in a world of trouble, but managed to somehow squirt out the kick, and another one forward from Sean Edwards. He's another Bomber recruit from GWS. And again, there's a whistle with Chappie with the big tackle on Luke Delaney.
He'll be enjoying the responsibility today as well, Chappie, with the honour of captaining the Bombers in this afternoon's game. 270-odd games, and gets his opportunity to finally captain a side on game day.
Tom Hickey is one of the subs for St Kilda today, so Billy Longer getting the run of the ruck, along with Jason Holmes, the American. Looking forward to see number 45, Jason Holmes.
He's a big man.
Oh, yeah.
We saw him warming up. He is huge.
And he can jump, don't worry about that.
I don't think the tap-outs will be an issue for him. He's learning more around the grounds. How to get the footy. Tip and Woody again.
Good positioning.
Hat forward for the Saints. But the Bombers should be able to come away with it. Oh, Gleeson got crunched by Nunes. He was impressive early last year, Marty Gleeson. Jace?
He was, and he's one that they really look to give rebound, run and carry. It's a dreadful kick going forward, though. That's straight to 2 loose and Kilda players. So a little bit of ordinary use of the football to start with at the moment, so both teams will be keen to start hitting some targets.
Stay out, stay right out.
Chase, this is the difference of the pre-season under Alan Richardson. They're trying to play a bit more through the corridor, a little bit quicker. They were the widest team in the competition last year, so looking at their speed of ball movement, which on this counter-punch is pretty good.
That's the voice of dual premiership player, former North Star, David King. Chat more to Kingy in a moment about what he expects this afternoon. But
that was good use of the footy. As Kingy mentioned, they moved it quickly. They drew, they got the one over the top, and finally a short chip into space gives them an opportunity to kick the goal. And wouldn't this bloke love to get on the board?
Yeah, how happy is Ahmed Saad back playing footy for the Saints again? Kicked a goal last week, had 7 disposals. And of course, had to sit out last year and in fact get redrafted as a rookie by the Saints. So Ahmed Saad with the first genuine chance to score a goal for either side this afternoon. You can see what confronts him. We'll get King to tell us if there's any wind at all as a factor this afternoon in a moment. From just inside the 50, looks like it's just drifting left to right. Too much. Any wind, King?
There wasn't any wind when he started his run-up, but by the time he finished, there was. No, there's nothing to speak of down here. There's no advantage to either end.
Hold there.
So the Bombers look to bring it out through Lachlan Dalglish. He's originally a rookie, now 21 years of age. Played 3 games in 2013. There's some heavy tackling. Weller, which is part of his trademark with his defensive efforts. Promoted to the leadership group. Who has he played on? He hasn't. Back it goes through Giles. Didn't do any real favours for Merritt. Ashby as it starts to get pretty hot. Dalglish again. Moves it to Mitch Brown. Just stabs it across half back. So can they get some forward movement going now, the Bombers? It's a little better to Gleeson. Just goes as long as he can out to the wing. Well judged by the experienced Lee Montagna, who moves it in haste up to the wing to Bruce as they work their way forward. Low ball for Saunders. I think it was aimed up at McCartan.
Yep, and there's nothing a key forward hates more than someone that just zips in when you finally get clear on the lead. You're about to get the ball delivered lace out. And just a little peripheral player, Snipsy.
I was going to ask if any of your former teammates were ever guilty of that, Jason, but often there wouldn't have been too many, would there?
Catch and kill your own as a small forward. If you can get the ball, you've got to get it. Otherwise, you can die. It can be a graveyard.
So Josh Saunders gets the opportunity for the Saints. Again, that's pushing right, so a couple of opportunities wasted for the Saints.
Yeah, that's certainly one that should have been kicked, but it was a promising lead from young Paddy McCartan, who looked like he's got good zip off the mark. Jono, I know you've had a bit to do with him coming through.
Yeah, and look, and this is, I've said it all the way through. It reminds me a little bit of yourself, Jason, on a serious sense in terms of that ability to get off his opponent. If he's got space in front, he will not drop the ball at all because his hands are that good. So it's a big day for him. It's more a big day for their forward line as a whole because they're so young down there. Membry coming from Sydney trying to do his work alongside McCartan, as you've mentioned. So there's a bit to work out from a St Kilda point of view. But if they get it going and get it right, the smalls like Loney, who's in there today, Templeton, who we've seen as an excitement machine when he entered the AFL competition, those sort of players can really stand up and have an impact as well because they know where the ball is going to go.
Footy spent a fair bit of time down in that forward half of the Saints. Bombers finding it hard to get cleanly out of defence.
Ambitious trying to claim it. Connor, he's put in a couple of big leaps already for those long balls out to the wing. He got good spring in the legs, Jono.
Well, he's a good size, isn't he? 196 at 95 kilos, so he's a good size for a 19-year-old, 18, 19-year-old kid.
It's going to creep back over the line, I think. Armitage, no, kept it alive just. Saunders came waltzing past. Jenton just banged it on the boot. Get it in there. There's McCartan flying high. Good ball movement. Here's Weller close to the line. Had a glance inside. Bruce trying to track it back. Difficult. And good work by his former teammate. And Clint Jones looks very different in Essendon.
Players always do. Almost impossible to catch that ball. It was the biggest floater you've ever seen coming back into the goal square.
Bit of repair work being done on Lee Montagna too. Hopefully he's okay. So Saints pressing. James Magner, a familiar face as well, was able to get that out as the Bombers try and move it forward. Bounced away from Sean McKernan.
Oh, wow.
Here's Tipperwoody again.
It's a race.
Big kick from Kavanagh. Chapman and Dempster, couple of experienced comers there. Tappy will get there, but he's missed.
He had to go off the deck. He didn't have time to pick it up. That was just a good old-fashioned foot race, and that's a terrible kick out from Shawnee Dempster.
Yeah.
He stubbed the surf.
He'll get the sand bucket out, go and replace that divot.
I tell you what, young Anthony Tipungwuti, does he find the right spots? We saw him up on the wing. Brilliant. But have a look at this kick out. That's taking a divot.
That won't be the last time we'll see that this year.
I like the way Tipungwuti attacks the footy, and he reads the play very, very well.
Well, there'll be a lot of recruiters having a look this afternoon. Check his progress. As the Saints can bring it away, Nunes able to plenty of target in the middle, and they can stream through the middle of the ground.
Here he is.
Oh, here's Holmes from Loney's kick. Holmes has got to hold on, and they will get around him now, that's for sure.
How good's that?
Jason Holmes, the American, big tall ruckman, had a full year of VFL last year. And what a start for him in season 2015.
I'm not going to say it was a particularly fluent kick off the boot, Jono.
No.
But this game only records where the kick ends up, and it went through the big post.
But the pleasing part about it was, Hutto mentioned earlier, yes, we'll see his leap now in this centre bounce, but it's the movement forward, it's the movement around the ground where he's got to understand. So it's great vision, he's worked into the right space. And then the awareness, yeah, I've got time around me, steady. Not the best execution of kick we've seen in terms of technique, but you know what, got the job done, and we watch for this centre bounce now because he can leap.
Well, all up and then down without any real contact against Sean McKernan. There's Saunders burrowing in, getting it in the Armitage direction. Merritt maybe could have infringed. Gleeson with a bit of a wild on handball. His body's going in every direction. There's no lack of determination and desperation out there from either side. Great to see Eli Templeton fit again after he started in such impressive fashion last year. as we go down to David King.
And here quickly with Jack Nunes. Jack, how do you feel the game's going? Where do you think you need to improve, or where you got the ascendancy?
Look, we've been going pretty quick with the ball. A bit of a focus from us last week was to speed it up because we're pretty conservative. So we've been going really fast and trying to slow them up a bit. They've got through us a couple of times, but we're going to try and defend that, not let them come out of defence, and we should be right to go.
You're blown a bit, mate. Have a spell.
Yeah, get back on.
Well, Kingy spotted early, and Jack Nunes has confirmed it. They're trying to move the ball quicker, and they're doing it very, very well. Good, sharp hands around the stoppages in the contest, and that shows you how hard they do work out in the ground, because he was still gasping as we see a high tackle there.
Josh Freezer gets to his feet to take it. Kick goes to half forward, and Magna takes the mark. Came in from Morigliani. The ball now into the Essendon forward line, and well presented too for Langford. This is Kyle Langford. You mentioned Mark Harvey was...
He's a wrap for him.
Yeah, a wrap for him from the Northern Knights, pick 17. He's put on a bit of muscle already since he's been at the club. As you can see, just 18 years of age. Kicked 14 goals in 7 games in the TAC Cup last year, and also played in defence a little bit as well in the Under-18 Championships. Perhaps kicked that one a bit more like a defender than a forward.
Yeah, but I think they really like what they've seen from him in his time at the club, and he's a very, very talented young man, so keep an eye out for him.
Tanya, that's a better kick in than the last one we saw from the Saints.
I don't think he's in a hurry to go back, Shawnee Dempster, to have another kick out.
Shenton comes bouncing off the Saunders chest, and that might be a free kick.
Yeah, I was about to say, look, you'll see players like Montague to go back, because you want your good ball handlers delivering the ball. But it was the second kick, the one from Shenton, that was a little bit iffy. It sat up in the air, and it made it very, very difficult. When you're coming out of the defensive 50 in particular, you'll see the good team get the ball in the hands of the players that just deliver the ball so precisely.
Well, Saunders need to take it on the hands for starters, because that awkward height for a chest mark, as it was. And then the second mistake by giving away the free kick inside forward 50 for the Bombers.
So Jason Aspey played 5 games early last year, and he's going to help his chances with a kick like that. Bombers on the board, and scores a level.
Well, the last couple of passages of play, the Bombers, leading up to this, yes, it was a mistake from the Saints to get this opportunity, but previous to that, they had started moving the ball quite well. Gets the tackle in there, then rides straight into the back. So, free kick every day of the week, and a good kick in the end of the... from the Bombers' point of view, because as we said, the last couple of minutes of play from them was at that level required. They transitioned well, they were using the ball on the angles very well, and now they get a result with some good pressure up forward.
Big day for these guys that have been in Essendon for 3 or 4 years, like your Nick O'Brien, Jason Ashby, Sean Edwards, who came from the Giants, Elliot Kavanagh. So it's a big opportunity for them. There's Holmes just tipping out McKernan in the middle.
The other thing we know as well, Hutto, is look, competition for spots is difficult. So we know there's 4 young players that were desperate to play in this NAB challenge, because they want to try and cement themselves a spot rather than sitting out.
Jones breaks out of the middle.
Beautiful hit.
Yeah, it was. The ball spread wide. And here's a chance for Long. Jake Long. He's got a bit of the step of his old man there. And Jones is going to keep it alive. Back to Long again. And they're forced out inside the 50. And good defence by the Saints. It's over and out.
It was. They closed the space up quite well. Then Jones worked away from the stoppage. You'd expect that with his experience and his elite fitness levels to be able to push all over the ground. Him and Magna through the middle of the ground from a Bombers' point of view. But for the Saints to push back quickly on transition, that would please Richardson.
Yeah, I love the defensive work of Ahmed Saad. He pushed all the way back to the back pocket, and when the ball came out, it wasn't an easy one, but he kept it in front and he kept it boundary side. So at the very worst, it was going to be a boundary throw-in.
Crack at it again, and it does fall the Saints' way.
Good hands around the contest early, the Saints.
Jack Stephen sends him up to half forward. Looks like it's coming back again now. Ashby attacking in his move by Dalglish. Now hurried onto the boot from Edwards. Good presentation by McKernan. And the run from behind was outstanding. Long ball in from Edwards towards full forward. Giles knows how to find the goals, and he shows that again and gives the Bombers the lead.
We did well 2-on-1 there, Giles. And it was Blake Acres, the St Kilda player, who just had to come over the top and create a big spoil. He went for a mark with the long ball coming in. Great run from behind.
Sean Edwards there was really good.
Very good. You see over the top here, there's Acres. And didn't get any touch on the ball. And Giles, with his strength, holds his feet in the contest in amongst a couple of Saints players. And a little drop kick to finish the result for the Bombers.
Young Jason Ashby likes a bit of physical contact, because it was big Jason Holmes running off for the Saints, and he just decided to try and bump him and get in his way as he was coming off, steamrolled straight over the top of him.
McKernan hit it behind him. First on it was Darren Minchington. Hard to get out of there, but Dunstan, we know, is tough around the contest. He displayed those attributes last year. Now has the honour of wearing Lenny Hayes' number 7 Guernsey.
That comes with some responsibility.
Oh, yeah.
That's Darren Minchington we saw there, 21-year-old who's played 5 games of footy for the Saints, senior level. Montaigne perhaps could have been given a free as the ball pinballs around. Thump forward by Hickey through the hands of Montaigne. Now they can drive towards goal again through Newton. There's your man McCartan, Jono. There'll be a few claiming him, but you've had a lot to do with his upbringing.
Everyone should want to claim this young man, because you just see there, and that's what we talk about. If he gets that space in front and he just gets that big body in front of his defender, his hands are that good that it's very, very difficult. Even if you chop the arms, he's still very strong and normally gets the dukes out and clunks them. So the other thing, Jace, to go with it is he's a very accurate shot for goal.
Oh, the Moz. Could you Moz any worse?
Kicked a goal last week in that one. He started that in the right spot. It's going to swing right, but there's not a drama there. And he levels up the scores once again. So the number 1 draft pick, Paddy McCartan, wearing the number 32, puts it through. And the Saints and the Bombers both on 2 goals too, and we've got a pretty good contest. The other thing is great to see Jack Nunes look like he's really ready to blossom, perhaps as a midfielder now, Jono.
Yeah, well, it's the proactiveness around the contest, which you've mentioned already, Jason. We have a look at Paddy McCartan's athletic profile. Look at his speed and agility. That's the most important thing. Endurance.
Well,
that might have been the reflection similar to yourself.
True. You don't have to go over it. But he'll pick up some of that endurance. And he'll also pick up some of the power once he's done a few pre-seasons. So I just think it's good, because we know that key position players and big blokes take longer to develop.
That's right.
To have an early draft pick, a key position player that looks ready to have some sort of impact straight away, and he's only going to get better, is very exciting.
Hickey climbed high, thumped back by Jones. Well up, leads them. And sends the Saints forward, but extremely wide, tough for Bruce to mark, and he realised that. That's Sam Michael wearing 77. Played 3 games for Brisbane, and he's a good size, and interesting to see whether he's in the sights of the recruiters.
It is amazing with your mindset going out there, and the players have spoken about how they want, the Saints players want to go quicker, want to play quicker. So that's their mindset. That's why they've been so good around the stoppages with their release. They're setting up well, but they're getting that release at the right spot.
That's a good tackle.
Straight to him, right there, clear out.
Really good tackle.
Against Kavanagh. Nunes going short. Sky ball towards half forward and easily plucked away by Ashby.
He's made a good start. Picked up a handful of possessions, drifted forward, kicked the goal, and as you say that, there's the commentator's curse. Makes an error.
Straight to Jaron Geary. As we mentioned, is captaining the Saints. 2 subs today for St Kilda, Jack Sinclair and Tom Hickey. I mentioned Hickey's name before. It's actually Billy Longer, who's in the ruck with Jason Holmes. But Jaron Geary, who's now 26 years of age and is one of the leaders at the Saints, he's pushed it to the left.
Very stabby, didn't kick through the ball. We saw him deliver a poor ball forward before. Look, it's not his forte kicking. He'd certainly expect to kick that goal, but he's one of those honest players that you love having in the team week in, week out, because he does a job for you. Just needs to be able to finish, put a little bit of icing on the cake.
Chapman. Oh, Longer, a little bit of a trip. Play on the call. The umpires got big numbers on, haven't they? Big number 31. Slap back over the boundary line. Montagna, whose numbers were down quite a bit last year. I'm sure he would have had a big pre-season, and hoping that as the Saints rise, he can play a part. Veteran now of 232 games. Jack Stephen at the coalface. There's Kavanagh trying to wrap up with a big tackle. Templeton. And another stoppage required. There's Eli Templeton and Marty Gleeson. Good follow-up from Longer, but just didn't get the contact he was after. Nick O'Brien sends Essendon back to the wing. Dempster did everything but take the mark. And look at Edwards, the speedster, off and running. He lost control of the footy, which is a bit of a problem. Looking for the free, doesn't get it. But gee, he certainly showed he could run with the ball. And Edwards, good combination by the Saints. Goddard was involved there as well. And the little chip pass comes across from Blake Acres. Some issues initially for Shenton, but they worked their way out of it. Seb Ross now hemmed into the back pocket. Let's see if they can keep their cool. Montagna for Saunders. Oh, diving effort, and he was trapped. So, in the back. Razor just getting into the game.
They got the handball away there. Definitely trying to use Lee Montagna as the go-to man to deliver the footy out of the defensive 50. He's working deep behind the play.
And Akers pinned there. Free kick goes to Jake Long. Good vision into Chapman. A little bit of uncertainty. He's gone Barrow. Vacant square.
The bounce.
Oh, didn't quite get the bounce he was after. Now, this is big Sam Tagliabue.
He actually changed his mind then, Chappie, because
he was going to go short, wasn't he?
The first hit up, but he thought, nah, it's covered, so I'll kick to space. And it's not easy when you're running at a pretty good clip to kick a barrel on the run like that. That is a very, very skillful kick.
There's big Sam Tagliabue, number 58 for the Bombers, again involved, but Saints get it out at least in the short term. McCartan close to the line. Jack Loney worked it towards the boundary line, but they've kept it alive. McCartan again in the thick of it, but just out-muscled on this occasion.
He's been good, Marigliani. Good contested mark.
Strong body, takes it wide. And here's James Magna as they advance again, the Bombers.
That was the clever kick.
They have fallen down a few times, haven't they, as they go deep into the 50. We're almost at quarter time. Let's have a look at Jason Holmes. Kicked a goal, if you've just joined us. The big American, look at that kick.
Giving that a roost, but unfortunately, it's the same as the kick that just came to him, long over the top to the opposition.
Siren about to sound. At quarter time, we've got a contest. It's St Kilda 2-3-15 and Essendon 2-2-14. We're watching second week of the NAB Challenge, and we're at the Morwell Recreation Reserve. It's the Saints by a point. There may not be too many recognisable faces out there, but there was no shortage of determination and endeavour. Plenty of physical action in the first quarter and plenty of excitement as well. Some terrific highlights for the people of Morwell. A little bit of the unusual too with the American recruit Jason Holmes putting through a goal for the Saints. It's all enough to give them a 1-point lead at the first break here at the Morwell Recreation Reserve. It's 2-3-15 St Kilda and Essendon 2-2-14. Jason Dunstall and Brad Johnson in our commentary position, about to be joined by Brendan Goddard from the Bombers as well. Boys, what did you make of the first quarter?
I thought it was an exciting first term. St Kilda looked to have the early ascension. I thought Essendon just started to work their way back into it. I really found young Anthony Tippingwoody exciting. He did a couple of clever things. He reads the play well, and at different stages he found himself at half-back, so prepared to work both ends of the ground. I also like Jason Ashby's first quarter from the Bombers. I thought he was very, very good. But the Saints probably had a few opportunities they should have converted early on, Johnny.
Yeah, trying to move the ball a lot quicker, which was a real positive for them, especially in the first half of that first quarter. Jack Loney was one as a new player to St Kilda who attacked the ball very hard as a small forward. But it is the senior players of the Saints that are standing up at the moment. Stephen and Montagna are leading the way through that midfield and pushing back in transition, getting a lot of ball defensively, but then need to start getting some ball on a proactive nature going forward.
As Hutto mentioned, it is a big welcome to Brendan Goddard, who joins us in the commentary box. Welcome to you, BJ.
Yeah, gents, thanks for having me.
Former teammate of yours, the #1 possession winner in the first quarter in Clint Jones.
I just pointed to that. No, it's ironic, isn't it? I asked him how he was feeling before the game. He goes, no, I'm actually feel all right. And I spoke to David Armitage the other day, and he said he was when he passed him or went up to him the first time, he was going to give him a kiss. So I recorded that. I don't think he did, but yeah, going well.
What about the rest of the group? How did the new boys coming in? Match day now. How are they in the rooms?
I got there only 10 minutes before they ran out, but they were buzzing around. They were in good spirits. Pretty sharp, actually, what I saw. But they've been terrific. We're very thankful for those guys coming in, and they are helping us out.
They've done a pretty good job in the first quarter, Brendan, too.
The guys, standing up well. You got a lot of guys that have played senior footy, so some said being unlucky, and I thought Brown down back looked pretty solid, and Jimmy Magner's a ball magnet, no pun intended, but yes, some senior players.
All right, into the second quarter.
Of the youngsters that are sticking around, BJ, who are the ones that have impressed you in the off-season that you think might be ready to have a big year?
Well, first-year player Cole Langford's been outstanding. He's playing as a forward now. He's played forward all pre-season, but he's one that's really stood out the first year.
What's made him outstanding in that sense? It's just the fact that he's come in, found his feet quickly within that footy club.
Yeah, I think what I've seen, and I've spent a bit of time up forward with him playing, he's a smart footballer. He's because of the TAC Cup background, I think, where he's the rules are that you'll have to have 2 or 3, I think, kids inside 50 the whole time, and he was one of those. Yes. So he's very familiar with having the 50 to himself, that's for sure. But no, he's very smart, great work ethic. All the guys that come in that want to work hard, they want to learn, but I've been really impressed with him.
Goddard's obviously picked up some good defensive skills. Already got away with a nice little hold on the lead there.
He'll be in his back pocket today. I think he's in Shawnee McKernan's. But yeah, he was a good kid.
He spent time at the Bombers, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Came over as an AIS kid and spent a week with us. But I've spent a lot of time with him in general, and he's a great family. And, helped him along the way, but he's a competitive guy.
Decent lump of a lad, BJ.
Decent lump of a lad. He's a bit taller than me. He's a super kid.
Saints on the break. Armitage trying to craft the kick to the advantage of Ahmed Saad, but wasn't able to achieve that. And Freezer takes the mark for the Bombers. As they try and work their way through half-back. Rigliani. Out wide. And he's got his man in James Polkinghorne. We saw plenty of, almost played 100 games with the Brisbane Lions.
He's had 5 kicks, Rigliani, operating at 100%, so making some good decisions.
You got just coming into the back of picture there for a moment. Couldn't trap the footy. The Bombers an opportunity. Ross with a big strong tackle.
Geary gets a boot on it, McKernan.
It's the run around. There's Petrenko doing what he does particularly well, which is applying the tackle and the pressure. And we've got a ball.
That's the one for me, Petrenko. I thought he was very unlucky to depart the Adelaide Crows. And you just got to see he's a high-end talented player, very crafty around the contest and inside forward 50 as well.
Did train with the Saints in the pre-season as well, so and now he's at Essendon, so another guy out there. That's,
you've got some good intel on today.
They have a few questions are asked during the week with CJ and Pup, they call him, Petrenko, but yeah, a little bit of insight.
Giles and Holmes. Obviously, Brennan, the absence of Paddy Ryder this year is going to be felt, but Giles, at least as a ruckman, has shown that he can kick multiple goals in a match, which hopefully for you guys he can work in well with Tom Bell-Chambers.
Yeah, that's one thing you can do is so ideally we would have both of those guys working in tandem, and then when we've got our full team, depending on the weekly matchups with the opposition, there might be only one of the guys at play, and at this stage Tom is our number 1 ruckman, but Joffa's going extremely well. He's never done a bigger pre-season or as much as he's done this pre-season. As he said, he can go forward and kick goals, and he's a competitive ruckman with centre bounces and throw-ins.
The umpire comes to the aid there of
I think McKernan's arguing he pushed him in the side, but I think there's probably one hand in the back as well as one in the side, so just needed to make more of an effort to get him in the side, and it probably would have been okay.
Look, it's pressure because St Kilda were going to release. If there was no pressure there to snap around the corner, St Kilda are out. At least affected the kick, yes, given the free kick away, but slowed things up, allowed the Bombers to find a man, find the most dangerous areas on the ground.
Delaney had to fly alone there as Goddard went to ground.
I think most of the senior Bombers had a bit of match simulation, a bit of competitive stuff yesterday. Did you get involved in that?
Most of, no. No, there were 6 of us that did our own training, and you find with 6 guys, our training's harder than what the match simulation is. A few of the guys struggled through it, but we did our training before the guys actually ran out and participated in a training scenario with Williamstown, which again we're very thankful for them coming out and helping us.
A massive goal.
Didn't show an enormous amount of respect for Paul.
Well, it's funny. Chappie was right on his hammer. He had to look back, and once he saw it was Chappie, he thought, no, I can bounce.
Chappie deliberately fell over then, so he looked like a fool.
Just missed hitting the post, so the margin now out to 2.
As you know, Brendan, you get interested in ex-teammates that go to different clubs and those sort of things. Adam Cooney, how has he settled in at Bomberland?
As you know, a great man, but look, I don't want to put any pressure on him, but he's had an outstanding pre-season. He all told us when we got there his knee was fine and through medical checks, but he really hasn't missed a beat. He's, to his own admission, he's in the best shape of his life. He's as light as he's ever been. His skin folds, and so he's given himself his best chance to have a really good season. That's important, and he's electrifying, to be honest. He's still got that speed at training, adds a different dimension to our team, and a really smart, good ball user.
Well, if you're looking to move the ball quicker throughout the mid part of the ground this year, will be a huge asset.
Yeah, that's right. His ability to break away from a pack, like he did in his Brownlow years when they say he was in his prime, but and his ability to break lines is to link up to the midfield, as you said, and to provide that link is something that we've really needed, and he's filled that void.
Some good ball movement there by the Saints. Almost led to a shot for goal. Still might. Dunstan flies. Quite for him. Gleeson. Saints jumpers all around. Saad.
Benign crowd, just quietly. There's not much happening down here at Moore.
It's a little bit quiet at the minute.
Normally down here they start to have a few beers about 10 a.m, so I thought they'd be peaking about now.
That was the voice of Brendan Goddard, by the way. 2-4-16 St Kilda, 2-2-14 Essendon. Strong work. Trying to bring the ball to ground for the Bombers, but the Saints pressing near goal. Minchington. And no way to get out from there.
Kid that has impressed is Connor McKenna here. He's just about to come on the ground, but the Irishman.
Yep.
The kid, one word to describe him is electrifying. You don't know what I don't think he knows what he's going to do with the ball when he gets it, but he's really quick. He's cat-like around the ball. Quite smart for a Gaelic footballer, to be honest, coming into the AFL game, but just needs to improve his side of defence, and he could be a special player.
That's 45, and there he is on cue. But he's got no one to kick to, so he has to run it.
Connor McKenna, the Irishman. Oh,
too far.
Too far.
He thought about kicking it to himself.
Bit of a solo.
And 50 for not giving it back.
How could the umpire know what he said, Brendan? I mean, no one else can understand him, can they?
I tend to take the mickey out of it a bit, but I do not understand what he says half the time.
He had a bounce. Oh, look, he's probably...
It's about 17.
Yeah.
Full stick.
And he doesn't know that rule.
And then he just dropped the footy. Yeah. It's not another 50.
It's another 50.
No. What did he say?
He ran over the mark, boys. He's had a horror 1 minute.
I think they call that unbridled enthusiasm is what it is. But unfortunately, it's going to cost his team a goal.
He's ambitious. You just have to get around him, because I love his energy at training. And as you saw there, he could be. I'm guessing this is what Pierce Hanley looked like early in his career.
Yeah. He was a star guarded player, wasn't he? Like very highly rated.
Yeah, he was as a young kid. I don't think he played much senior footy. I spoke to a few of the Irishmen while playing international rules just the end of last year, and they had never heard of him.
Right, okay. Yep.
But I don't think he played much senior footy. But he did played against AIS kids. Actually, he played against Hugh Goddard last year before being drafted and kicked 5 goals.
He did. He was very good in that game.
So there's the first one. He just drops the footy.
It's the 50 there when he drops it.
And then he goes over the mark.
He heard the whistle from the ump.
Well, I think the ump said move it along to the player with the ball, but he hadn't called play on. But from the moment he came on, he sprinted it in the middle. He picked up the interception. Then he took off towards goal. He's a million miles an hour, so an exciting but raw talent at this stage.
Cam Shenton was the man that kicked the goal for the Saints, and they lead by 8 points. Razor Ray hits it up into the middle. Longer got it down. There's O'Brien. Akers just weaving through the middle of the Morwell Recreation Reserve. Out to Saunders, who's done a pretty good job so far. It's not the best looking kick in the world. Into the 50, well trapped by Sard, who's proved dangerous thus far. Templeton lost his footing. Magna flicked it out. Morigliani again. He's looked pretty composed so far. Kicks to the wing. Delaney with the spoil. Tippenwoody's threatening here. Can he get onto the footy? Montagna was hoping desperately that he didn't. And the experience told in the end. Dempster back to Goddard. Do you think Hugh will end up being forward or back, Brendan?
It might be a bit. I think early, obviously, now he's down back because he's so competitive. But what he can do, I think, is play on really all the best forwards for the first couple of years, and then he might find himself as a key forward because he's a quick learner. He is smart, so I see him doing something along those lines.
Petrenko. Sure, he actually was taken high. It certainly looked that way, though, to Ray Chamberlain.
He ducked a little too. That's a throw.
Yeah, on O'Brien. He gets away with one. Through the middle, this is Ashby as the Bombers start to build. Tagliabue, they feed it through the centre. Ashby followed up nicely, kicked it into long. He's got the mark.
Stay right out. Stay right out. Another metre out.
I think Michael's here at the ground somewhere, so hopefully we can find him. Watching his lad playing, he decided to lay it off. We'll see if there's any wisdom in that. Kavanagh's kick looks good. It's there for 6. And they're back within 2 points, the Bombers.
Perhaps he felt he was outside his range as we see the use of the ball from Ashby coming forward. And there's a very agile... Well, there are some similarities appearance-wise too and movement-wise, aren't there, with the old man?
A little bit lucky perhaps to play the mark.
Maybe just felt he was outside his range or he was setting it up for a 9-pointer. But I'll tell you what, that's pretty good kick off the outstep.
Isn't it?
Just to finesse that back towards goals because he was actually running towards the left-hand behind post.
Big year for Elliot Kavanagh coming up. Just played the 7 games into his 4th season.
He's one that Hurdy mentioned. Has had a very good pre-season, perhaps expecting...
Yeah, very good. He's great shape. He's you love seeing the development of kids, but he's come from say fitness-wise middle of the pack, and particularly this year he's in our top 3 runners. So again, he's given himself the best chance to play some of his best footy up until this time in his career. But he's in great shape and he's a really good kid. Very
smart by Jake Long to handball it off, because if you kick the goal, you've got to come off the ground. So he's just given the assist, Jace, so he can actually stay out there a little bit longer.
A little bit of a scrap one-on-one, but sorted it out.
So margin 2, 3-4 the Saints, 3-2 the Bombers. Just under 10 minutes remaining in this second quarter. There's no time on until we get to the last 5 minutes. Jason Holmes in there doing battle with Magna. Nunes had a piece of it. Stephen.
He won't be happy with that.
I'm not impressed, Chappie.
Didn't look too much in it. He was actually very careful over Stephen on that occasion, so he didn't get the push in the back.
That was Jack Stevens' 13th possession, second only to Lee Montagna, who's on 15 at the moment. They lead the way for the Saints. Clint Jones with 12 and Jackson Merritt 10 for the Bombers.
Holmes worked his way nicely to the front and gave good service. That might be downfield. It is.
It was a good kick as well. So a good opportunity here to have a look at Tim Membry.
Jack Stephen after 14 disposals.
Saw him play a handful of games for Sydney when they had injuries, and it's kind of think maybe given a good run at it, he might be able to consistently hold down a spot in this forward line.
Kicked plenty of goals in the Neefle, which I know isn't always a sign, because it's probably not at that same level.
I think he was a bit better than that level, though.
Yeah, 97 goals in 33 games in the Neefle. Tim Membry.
Shank.
Missed a few, the Saints. 3-5 now for St Kilda, 3-2 for Essendon. Morigliani again. Playing some sort of leadership role in defence, kicking it long out to the wing. Well gathered, McKenna over to
another barrel. Oh, how good.
Super effective.
Don't know where it's going to bounce.
Tough for Langford, just had to wait a bit longer than he would have liked. And Dempster with a good supporting cast. Geary and Saunders and Mincington all there. Saunders comes away with it. Just changed the angle on the kick, hoping that Armitage could get there, but it's crept over the chalk again.
That's a good skill, kicking barrels on the run. I don't think he could have carried the last line of defence with a drop punt. So he has just launched it. That's a cracker.
Perfect drop, wasn't it?
That's a lot of confidence in your kicking ability to do that.
Dunstan. Nunes over the top, trying to put the big tackle on McKernan, but it might be too high. Quickly move it on again, the Bombers. Giles behind. Oh. It did appear that he would have possibly infringed there.
Might have been a bit unlucky, you there, I think.
They're away, though, the Saints. Seb Ross just held up momentarily.
They do look to bring it back into the corridor whenever they get the opportunity.
Dunstan, neat side step. Saw something he liked, and that something was Membry. Captures it well. He got McCartan deep, but brings it back into the middle for Nunes. Well anticipated, though, by Jones, and now it's the Bombers' opportunity. Although Nathan Wright's going to shut that down smartly, brilliantly done. Got it through Geary's hands. Now to Ross. Let's see if they can get some system. No, just bang it as long as you can from Membry. McCartan comes out, pushed off, out of position. Gleeson there has to contend with Sard. Saunders, as they scrap around the contest. On the 50, comes out Essendon's way. Polkinghorne first, and now that's another skyscraper back to the middle. Edwards fought the good fight. Here's Nunes, left it behind. There's a whistle, and we've got a ball up.
Have you got a training, Brendan, with the new rule, the marking in the marking contest? So we see there Brown come in and just he got McCartan out of the way in the right fashion to protect his teammate. But have you been practicing it old school?
Yeah,
getting behind.
I haven't practiced so much. It was a good talking point when the umpires did come, but they made it very clear that they'll only pay the ones that are obvious. Because there is somewhat of a skill involved in doing it, and a lot of teams obviously play with a +1. So
the difficulty I see with players, though, is if you're not in the perfect position to start with, it's then very difficult to go and protect your teammates back.
Yeah, somewhat. I think, and the theory behind it is makes sense about allowing guys to run and jump at the footy. So if they've got a clear jump at the footy, then you take their line and take them out of it, then it'll be paid a free kick. But if you're wrestling and locked one-on-one, and then you're still able to then hold him down, they're not going to, what they've told us, they're not going to pay those free kicks. So it's a little bit of a change, but I didn't think there was a big issue before making the change to it.
So the margin is 3. As the Essendon try and bring it out through Kavanagh.
Brendan, have you noticed a difference in James Hird, given his philosophy of coaching and style of football? Has there been a change in this off-season?
A little bit. His own admission, he watched a lot of footy in his time off, a lot of footy. Not only games of last year, but games before that and teams in other years. So he's changed his philosophy on footy and come the start of the pre-season, just had a few minor changes, I guess, to his thinking about the game, and then some tweaking of our game just based on obviously having Bomber as coach last year. But the fundamental things were all the same, but a few tweaks in a few of his philosophies in terms of attack and defence.
Big grab for Josh Bruce, opportunity for the Saints to put one through. And opportunity for us to let you go, Brendan. Appreciate your time. Good luck for the season.
No worries, boys. Thank you.
Well, Brendan Goddard joining us, part of coverage of the second quarter here from the Morwell Recreation Reserve. And it's the Saints an opportunity through Josh Bruce to increase the lead. You would hope they've missed some shots, but it's a good look at what's ahead for him as he drives it into the net. And the Saints lead by 9.
Good transition by the Saints on that occasion. Nathan Wright here, exciting young talent for St Kilda. But that's a good grab back with the flight. And just look at pure eyes on the ball. I love to see that from young players in the competition. And that big body of Bruce was good. Just took the mark at that highest point and went back and nailed it.
Yeah, it will be interesting as to where he plays his footy this year, as we said, towards the end of last year. After being recruited primarily as a defender from the Giants, he found himself forward.
Well, it's just part of the desperate search to take a bit of pressure off Nick Riewoldt, and you don't want to throw all that pressure immediately onto Paddy McCartan either. So they need at least 3 tools capable of having an impact forward. Membry's more that mid-sized type mobile forward.
It's flexibility now for Nick Riewoldt to spend more time maybe coming out of the goal square at times rather than just working the logos consistently, which he's got to continue to do because that's the way that he plays the game. But to see him come out of the square on the odd occasion as well will be a lot more effective for the Saints with getting some ball going forward.
Jones being harassed. It was really good pressure by the Saints. Saunders initially, and then Stephen deserves to cap that off with a goal. And he's done it in outstanding fashion. And the Saints suddenly break out and lead by 15 points.
Which the experienced heads leading the way for the Saints. Leon Tagner with 18 possessions. Jack Stephen now has 16 possessions and a goal. And he's been one of the most influential players in this first half. We know he's got speed to break away from the packs, but when he adds clean finishing to his game, it just goes to another level.
It's the spread of contested and uncontested ball that I like about Jack Stephen. He's had 9 uncontested, 7 contested. So he gets in around the contest. He's tough at it, but then also can get on the outside with that run and speed. He's got a good mix to his game. 3 clearances to go with that as well. So that's why he's so hard to stop when he's up and going.
Good advantage in the clearances. The Saints doing well around the pack. 16-9, they lead the clearances.
Giles got it down. Magna dug it out. And St Kilda half back line. Plenty of work at the moment. It's a little too cute there with a short pass. They're moving it though. Almost too fast for themselves, but the Akers comes through. Worked it to Bruce. Conceded quite a bit of ground to get it back to Geary. In fact, there was Nathan Wright, another one who was injured last year for a fair bit of the year, but is a talent. Morigliani just trapped for the moment. Gleeson by hand into that back pocket. He'll try and charge out of there. Sets the kick up to the wing. Michael came late, but Bruce was strong in the contest. Off to Shenton again. Saints looking, while they're in a bit of a rich vein of form there, to try and build on the scoreboard. Minchington, another nuggety-looking player.
See what he's working hard, Josh Bruce. We saw him take one just down near the goal square, kick a goal. Now he's taken one up on the wing, and now he's sprinted back deep forward to try and get on the end of it again.
Jack Nunes.
And they're probably going to kick it.
The 3-quarter kick for Membry. The juggling act was worth it.
Well, his last shot was a pretty ordinary one. I don't know if he's in range here. He's going to be kicking from just outside the 50-metre arc. Probably not completely confident, given the last one did not come off the boot well. He's certainly having a good look around.
So Tim Membry with the Saints leading by 15 points. Give them a nice little break. Now he decides to pass.
That's clever. He took his time. He hung on to it. He looked at the options. Then he started to go through his kicking routine. But he was good enough to see Seb Ross in space and make it a much shorter kick. Still a pretty tight angle, but certainly no distance issues for Seb Ross.
So Ross on his way. Not a bad strike, and he's judged it to perfection. Well played, St Kilda, and Seb Ross extending the lead to 21 points.
Been a good last couple of minutes for the Saints, John. It makes a big difference when you finish your opportunities.
Yeah, it does. And I was just watching David Armitage there when Membry kicked that ball into Ross. For a senior player, look, he was up and about, getting around. Obviously, pretty excited about the way this has worked out. Now, a good play by Ross to get into the hole. But from a senior player's point of view and a senior midfielder within the side, I think that's so important for the young players in around to understand when you do something good, your teammates do get around you with that positive nature just to keep that flowing.
Replay was a good shot of just showing Bombers' defence caught napping. And they've conceded 3 goals in the last couple of minutes, so a bit to address for James Hird at half-time.
And Kingsley, one of the assistants for Alan Richardson, down there giving some instruction. As the St Kilda defence just got to see out this last 15 seconds. And they'll take that handy 21-point margin into the second half.
Great kick.
Sharp kick, wasn't it, to Dunstan, who's looked better and better as the game has continued. Geary puts it on the chest of Chapman. Late opportunity here, perhaps, for the Bombers.
Well, he's going to go back and have a shot, Sean McKernan, but this would have to be an 80-metre torpedo.
Gets out the driver.
And it's gone about 40.
And it's falls a little bit short, it's fair to say. So, big quarter for the Saints. They took a little while, but they started to get really on top of the contest. They kicked 4 goals to 1 straight in that term, and now have a 21-point lead as we get to the half. And we're going to get out there to David King and get a word on the way before we take our half-time break. Here at Morwell, still no sign of rain. So conditions are pretty good, and I think Kingy's got Jonathan Giles with him.
Certainly have, Hutto. How are you feeling out there? How's it going? How do you feel you're tracking?
Yeah, it's hard work. First NAB Cup, transitioning from training to match, but boys having a good crack. Probably the last few minutes there, just let it slip away, but having a good crack, so it's good to see.
You love the midfield work underneath you at the moment. The boys are struggling to get the clearances away, but they're trying hard in there, aren't they?
Yeah, we're having a crack, and that's all we can ask, for this team. So we're just having a real hot dip and trying to get this score.
Get in the rooms and have a spell, mate.
Yeah,
good on you, Kingy. Thanks to Jonathan Giles. Paul Chapman having a word or two on the way out for the Bombers. So they trail now by 21 points here at Morwell, but more NAB Cup action and analysis right after this. Both sides of this year. Jason Dunstall, Brad Johnson with us. Who's that bloke?
Fox Footy's Danny Frawley is helping out as a specialist defensive role this season with the St Kilda Footy Club. I've got to say, they look good. They're doing very, very well. And I think he is a terrific type to help with some young key defensive types.
No doubt. Someone like we've seen Hugh Goddard in action today. You think he'd be in Spud's back pocket, learning as much as he possibly can. He did have the honour of carrying the whiteboard in match day today. But across the board, look, we spoke about Essendon's coaching staff earlier on, and the experience there. Look, that's important for St Kilda with Alan Richardson in his position as a new senior coach. See on screen there, to have someone like Danny Frawley helping out throughout the week is important for himself as well.
Well, there is the list that makes up the St Kilda coaching staff. They're plenty of experience there. Lots of numbers in development. Lindsay Gilby doing a great job there. He's, I think, full-time now at the club. Paul Hudson, another ex-teammate of yours.
Coaching the VFL this year, so...
Peter Searle also.
Yeah, doing some good work. So right across the board, they're a growing coaching panel, but Aaron Hamill, you can see him on screen there. His determination and strength as a player. He got angry at times as well, Aaron Hamill. But
did you have a clash with him, Jono?
I may have had one along the way where I thought I bumped Lenny Hayes and it happened to be Aaron Hamill, and it might have started a bit of an all-in, but anyway.
It's interesting, though. I mean, when we look at coaching panels, it seems to be a cast of thousands, doesn't it? A lot of clubs. And let's not forget that there's a football department salary cap in now, so it'll be interesting to see whether that starts to curtail the numbers that are being employed in the football department.
Yeah, well, and the way they're structured and overlooking all the development. I think at Essendon they have the 1 to 3 year players are all separate almost from in their development, the way they're all run, and then they join the main group and do the full training.
Mind you, that's one area you don't ever want to see a cut in at a footy club. That's the development aspect. You've got to get the most out of the players at your disposal.
And I think we've found that, haven't we? And that's where clubs have been able to go ahead of others, and obviously the resources help in that area. And the Saints have had an academy up and going for a couple of years, so they're hoping to reap some of the benefits with this young group coming through.
Already a sub's been made because it looks like big Tom Hickey's going to start in the ruck for the Saints in the second half. He was wearing one of the subs' vests.
So we'll try and pick up who's gone off for you as soon as we can.
Can't see a coloured vest. Probably stayed in the rooms having a shower.
So St Kilda begin this second half from Morwell, leading by 21 points. Straight into the action. Hickey tried to follow it up but couldn't. Chapman sent Essendon forward. And there's McKernan.
There'll be a 9-pointer if he wanted to.
He was intent on trying to lay it off, and that's why this is Edwards.
A chance to get the first goal, which they desperately need. It's Jason Holmes, the young American ruckman that we saw in the first half that's been subbed out with Tom Hickey coming in, so the big men just sharing half a game each. But the 3 late goals really opened up some breathing space for the Saints, so important that the Bombers start well in the second half.
Sean Edwards, we've seen his speed, his athleticism so far. Let's see if he can kick a goal from the pocket. Not a bad effort. He's happy because he's guided it through. And Essendon starting strongly in the opening minute of this third term.
Good centre clearance. McKernan led up, was able to take the advantage over Goddard. But then it was his kick to advantage. He didn't hit a lace-out kick to his team. Well, ended up that way, sorry, Jess, but it wasn't a bullet.
Quickly.
Yeah,
quickly.
It was a bullet that did move in, and that's what Kingy was talking about at half-time, about the ball movement of the Bombers and a bit more speed forward of centre with that ball movement. And you can see there, just kick to space.
He didn't kick to a lead, exactly right. He kicked to space, but when you kick to space, it's the space to the side of your teammate who then is advantaged by being able to get there first.
Shown a little bit today, Edwards. He played in the Indigenous All-Stars team a couple of weeks ago.
Steamed off half-back in the first term, now playing deep forward.
Beautiful bounce in the middle. Hickey read it best, and his secondary effort was good, although you can see on the swing around, it didn't go anywhere. Armitage had to change his mind midstream. Nunes. And the Saints get almost to the 50. Good, strong ball work from an impressive
solid.
Ashby.
He's been good. He's been good.
Well, that wasn't his best moment, though. Weller, can he capitalise? McCartan on the half volley. Crashes to ground, but the Saints able to get it up and going again. Nice little handling. It was Loney getting involved a couple of times, and here he is off the left on tired legs to the square, and well trapped by Akers, who just for a moment was going.
Thought about it, but he's marked it in the square, so he's directly in front, 2 metres out.
Do you like the look of Loney, Jono, from what we've seen?
Yeah, look, I love when the game was hot in that first quarter. Loney had 5 disposals. He was in amongst it. He attacked a couple of contests very hard. So that's from a young player for me. Look, games will open up and, you know, they'll get on the end of it and be able to use the ball well. But when the game was hot, he was one Saints player that was in amongst it.
Not much of him either.
No.
He would be one of the smallest players out there, no doubt about that. I thought Paddy McCartan a little unlucky there because he put in a good lead when that quick turnover came. Probably deserved a better pass as we take a look at the athletic profile there for Jack.
You watched the Brisbane Lions last night and all the small young talent that they've got running around. Louis Taylor, of course, but then you've got the magician Zorko and Green kicked 3 goals, and players like that are having impact in the competition. Loney will be the same.
The height disadvantage there, him next to his opponent.
He's a local too. He lives in Seaford, so he doesn't have far to go to training. Chapman gets it to half forward. And off the ground by Wright, taking St Kilda out to the wing. There's the goal kicker Akers, and Chapman and the ball out of bounds.
Did 10 possessions, Paul Chapman. Kicked the one behind, and scrambled one off the deck, trying to lead the way. And I think he'd enjoy leading a young side today.
20 games last year, Chappie, in his first year at Bomberland. Kicked 22 goals. I think he's the 7th oldest player in the AFL now. Gleesh gets them to half forward, and it's a good, strong lead. Quick turnaround from Langford, and they're inside 50 again. And once again, this impressive moving Sean Edwards has the footy in front of goal.
Was proving elusive. He was standing in a big hole of space there.
Every year, Jace, we talk about teams learning from the best teams in the competition. Port Adelaide, Hawthorn, Sydney Swans. This year, every team will try and counter-punch with speed. That was absolutely through the corridor again at breakneck speed.
Edwards gives it plenty, and it was a kick with great authority. He's kicked a couple in the quarter, and Essendon stay in touch. 15 points the difference. It was interesting, Kingy, the question you asked Brendan Goddard and his answer about Hurdy, wasn't it? Just some changes after his time away from the game?
Well, I didn't think James Hird wanted to play that slow last year. He didn't like that ball movement pattern. It really helped them defensively. They made some inroads in terms of their points against last year, where their forward line was rendered useless. But I tell you what, Danaher and Carlisle, these players sitting back today watching from the stands, will be thrilled with the speed that is coming inside the forward 50 at the moment.
Terrific effort from Sean Edwards early in the 3rd term here. He's been on the list for a few years now. Hasn't played a senior match, but gives you indication that he might be ready this season.
O'Brien, as they dig it out of the middle again. Giles can give... Oh, he would have given it plenty. That's got to be holding the ball now. Jack's seeing it again. He's been in everything.
Just a slow transfer.
It's a big wind-up, isn't it?
He's kicked himself.
He did.
Yeah.
Geary breaks inside Kavanagh and can set the Saints deep. The height was there with Hickey, but the timing from Gleeson was outstanding.
Gee, that's good defensive work. And I think it was poor judgment from Tom Hickey, because he didn't go for the ball at the highest point. He allowed a smaller player in Gleeson to get in front of him and punch it away.
Good wrestle. Hickey flicked it down. Magna dug it up. Stevens' kick going nowhere. Tackling from Membry. Mitch Brown feeling the heat in the goal square. Nice little give. Stephen, he's an elusive player. Swings it back. Didn't go exactly where he planned, but the result was exactly what he was after. Nice snap from Jack Sinclair, who was the other sub that's come on the ground. And the boy from the Oakley Chargers, he's a rookie, has kicked the goal. Played as an overage player, I think, last year for the...
Just kept it alive, Jack Stephen. He didn't try and kick the miracle goal. He was on his wrong foot. It probably would have been a 1 in 100. So he put it back into a dangerous spot. Keep the ball alive.
Good goal sense from Sinclair. Didn't have much time to look. And Clisby's come on for Tagliabue from an Essendon point of view.
And that's, you're not mistaken, that is a Heppel there for Essendon. Just Aaron Heppel, who...
itching to get a crack at him.
Yeah, I'm sure it won't be far away. Margin back to 21. It's just gone up a notch in this third quarter, hasn't it? The ball's starting to ping around from one end to the other.
Almost like the game's opened up a little bit.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's good for the crowd too. And not to mention everyone watching at home on Fox Footy. Chapman. Tough kick around the corner. Oh, boy, that's generous.
Well, if he held it, it was a good effort from Montagna.
Panic with a footy.
Good lead up the corridor that was ignored.
Instead it goes via Delaney. You had to wait an uncomfortable moment, but the ball sits for him finally.
Again, they desperately want to come back in the corridor, don't they? And it's good because it opens up the field of play for them.
Back to Dunstan again.
Gives them so many more options.
It's got Shenton in reserve. Yeah, forward 50's done filled up though, so it's going to be tricky from here.
Good kick.
Was. Weller, now part of the leadership group, which is an outstanding story for someone who was let go by the Suns. No free kick on offer there for Sam Michael, who looked a bit disgruntled. Perhaps Membry a little lucky. Billy Longer came down to Membry, had a good goal sense about him there, but didn't quite scored enough.
Gee, he hooked it back well though, because he was virtually running directly away from goal. It's a very difficult snap. Pulled it back a long way. He does get himself in a lot of good positions in the forward 50.
So you're impressed?
Well, I think he has an opportunity to play some regular senior footy at St Kilda, and then we might be able to see him actually settle in at this level. He never played, a successive games at Rollins.
Just the one game.
Injuries.
But you mentioned the smart spots. That's through his ex-teammates' education. That some of the players that he's been able to train with on a regular basis in Sydney are of the elite level. Adam Goods and Buddy last year and those sort of players. So you've got to learn that.
Franklin and Tippett pretty hard to beat too.
Well, exactly. For a spot in the lineup, definitely.
Little poke on Chappie here.
Ooh.
Just trying to push him off. He had his eyes on the footy, Billy Longer, but they do tend to be a little clumsy at times, the ruckman.
Mitch Brown tries to head up, target down the line, which he's able to do. This is Petrenko. Didn't have a lot of the footy, just his fourth disposal.
Oh, straight off the bench, Armitage nearly got there.
Mitch Clisby.
First touch.
Who played 8 games with Melbourne, and some say a little bit unlucky not to have
they're on here.
been able to stay on the list.
They are on.
Yeah, they've got players all the way down the line, dotted across the half-forward line, but it's just taking a little bit too long to get there. There's all sorts there, Gleeson. Back to Morigliani. Some holding on Petrenko. Advantage taken by Jones. Trying to weave his way through was Polkinghorne. He's gone very wide to the pocket, but Giles got to pay that umpire.
He reached over the top with one arm to parry the ball and then was able to get his body around to take the second grab. He was never in position there, Jonathan Giles. That's a terrific mark. Let's hope he can finish. Deserves a goal.
He's had a good quarter, Jonathan Giles. He was the one early on.
Behind, he reaches over.
It's a good mark.
Well done.
Yeah, he's always had a keen goal sense, and he shows it again.
And you can't really blame Hugh Goddard in that instance. He's doing everything right. He's got front position. He's trying to hold a bigger opponent away from the footy. Did everything right. It's just his opponent was too big.
The reach.
It was too big and strong. So that's a seasoned veteran and a ruckman playing forward against a first-year player.
Just played the 9 games last year, of course, after big Mummy arrived at GWS. He found things a bit difficult with Shane Mumford there, but before that, 42 games for 32 goals in his first 2 years. And showed, as we mentioned, the ability to get forward, kick a goal.
Is he the first one to play 50 games?
He was, yep.
GWS.
Kicked a bag of 4 against Essendon in 2013, so no doubt they remembered that when they came to recruiting him. Ross.
Young Goddard didn't look like he was going to die wondering either, giving him a bit of niggle, Jono.
Mitch Brown couldn't quite. McCartan wrapped him up and very nearly earned a free. Morigliani again. And that's out on the full. So margin is 16 for the Saints. Armitage.
There it is again, Jason.
Yep.
Inboard. Consistently looking inboard.
And it ends with Shenton, who tries to kick to the 50. Well spotted.
Good vision. Good vision, and well done to Billy Longer pushing forward. Become an attacking threat after the stoppage.
It was great vision for Shenton to be able to see that he was there and in a position to take the mark.
Get a great view of what sort of kick he is here, Jono, for a big bloke.
You confident, Jace?
Never confident when a big bloke's lining him up. Hutto.
So here's Billy. Played 16 games last year. Left-ish, but
coming back.
It is working its way back. Doesn't make it.
Kicked it so high. Got right underneath it.
Good push and shove on the line. The Bombers looking to concede or not.
It's supposed to be a good kick, this one.
Brown, there's Saints everywhere out here. And they sorted out nicely. Goddard and McCartan were both in line for it. I think that's probably a smart play because Bombers are everywhere inside the 50. Bruce makes a lead. He's going to have to time his leap here. He's got the strength on Ashby.
Good effort.
Very nearly took it.
He positioned himself well, Josh Bruce. He actually looks like he's got a bit of forward craft about him. Not good. Kingy.
Seb Ross there. Looks like a hamstring injury, boys. The curse is continuing at St Kilda. They've had a horrible run the last 3 weeks with hamstrings, and he's been taken straight into the room. So some concern there. Looks like he's done that left hamstring.
They're talking about a review of their systems at the moment. KIlda, they've lost a number of Farron Ray with the most serious one, but I think Savage was one.
Billings.
Yeah, Billings. Yeah.
He bent down for it at pace, and that's often where it'll happen.
There's a hurried snap out.
Farron Ray just out of surgery as well in the last 24, just over 24 hours. So got through that very well.
Morigliani, I think, is the captain of their VFL team. Kicks it back to half-back. Good juggle from Willie there. He lays it off to Templeton. Off the left boot. McCartan. Bruce came to lend assistance and it was needed. Well sorted out from Armitage. Templeton tried to spot up Saar to get over the top of Mitch Brown, which he's done to great effect. Tough for McCartan, he knew. He had to move quickly. Petrenko, the heat's on as they get close to goal. Bombers defence stressing and straining, but they hold firm.
Good contest. He's their #1 possession getter, Marcus Morigliani. He's up to 16 possessions.
It's a great stage for him, isn't it? To try and impress. Who knows? Some high contact there on Chapman. He was quick to move it, but there was still some danger.
Not a lot to go to, though.
Gleeson in all sorts of trouble. Kept his head. Morigliani again.
Oh, they worked their way out well.
All by hand. Till now, they finally kick. Gleeson will try and brush aside, which he does. Confronted by Templeton, so another handball and another to Magna. This is a world record number of consecutive handballs.
Away.
He can run and kick, which he does. He skied it, and Jake Long, no real chance, and almost giving away 50. Nathan Wright takes the mark for St Kilda.
Positioned himself very well, Nathan Wright. He read that early. He knew that the long kick was the only option once Edwards broke free, because there was no one to hand pass to, and his opponent was about 70 metres from the kick, so he just took the front running and was always going to mark that one. Corridor again.
Skimming the ball through the middle. Kick is placed for Membry. Bit of early body contact. Well done, Dalglish. Kept his ground.
Got a loose player if they look.
In the pocket. Oh, Akers doesn't go for him. Centres it instead. They come from all angles, and Mitch Brown doing a pretty solid job. Takes the mark.
It's just decision-making, isn't it? Geary turned back away from goal to give a handball to a teammate who obviously was calling for it early.
It was Longer that had pushed into space,
wasn't it? He had to look forward. He had a spare man about 10 metres out from goal.
Dalglish. One of the umps having a bit of trouble with the P and the whistle there.
Good pick-up. Really good pick-up from Clisby.
As they move it by hand, Giles. Dalglish had to rush the kick. Geary straight into the trouble for Saunders.
I was going to say, how did that ball pop out like that? Well, it was thrown out. Good tackle. Just scooped it out with the one free arm.
Bombs have got a loose on the other side. They can keep it moving, but unfortunately, Freezer held up. Rigliani again.
Really good pressure from both teams on the ball carry in this quarter. It's like they've both upped the ante in terms of really pressuring the person with the ball, forcing them into quick decisions and hopefully turnovers.
Margin 16. 3 goals to 2-1 in this quarter in favour of the Bombers.
Well, their response has been very good in this quarter. Just before half-time, it was all St Kilda. The game was really starting to open up in their favour, but to the Bombers' credit, it's just been noticed now, the blood rule. So Clisby coming off the ground.
Which would be annoying, wouldn't it, for you?
Well, that's it. You just come on, and it looks like he's
a little bit running freely now.
Yeah, it is.
As you say, finally gets an opportunity. He's starting to get a couple of possessions and the crack to the score.
Thank you. Always down.
A few dark clouds coming overhead. Let's hope the rain stays away.
There's a list of some of the Essendon coaches.
Very experienced as well. Nathan Bassett very successful in the Sandfield coaching.
It's Matty Egan pointing now. Mark Neald in behind.
Stay where you are there, 1 metre, it's great. Holding Essendon.
Free kick goes to McKernan against Tom Hickey.
Out, please. That's you.
There's the Irishman. Conor McKenna was up. Edwards stripped of it immediately. Geary's been outstanding. It has touched off the boot.
You want, mate? You got it. Yep. You up front, Joe, mate.
Another 5 disposals this quarter.
You up front.
Jaron Geary.
Steve's got inside.
Bombers have had more of the footy, 70 disposals to 53 in this quarter, but St Kilda have had more of the inside 50s. Now Jack Stephen powers away. Was a bit uncertain where to head initially.
It was a good kick, though.
Bounced up.
Mitchington's out.
Oh, they've got a couple out.
Well, the kick well placed from Armitage. If they can sort things out, they get things synchronised, they do. And it's an excellent goal by St Kilda. Margin out to 22 points now.
Well, they had 2 players. Darren Mitchington's the one that got on the end of it, and then you got a Shepherd and allowed him to run into an open goal. It was a clever kick. Didn't try to do anything fancy. I like this kick. It was back into the corridor, but it was also into space. He had a couple of players that could have got on the end of it. And then Armitage just waits it. He doesn't try and pinpoint anything. He gives it air knowing there's plenty of margin for error.
Straight back, guys.
Gives
coming this way.
The 2 players a chance to get underneath it.
Good communication there too. You see,
well, Mr. Saab was queuing up for it. He would have been spewing Mitch if he got there.
I actually thought he would have gone quicker. Let him take the mark. Handball received from the goal square.
Here we go.
Well, he did the right thing, protected his back, made sure he didn't get run down from behind. Jono would have run
100% Hutto would have gone for a handball.
Very cool.
There we go. Aaron Heppel's on the ground. Similar player from all reports to Dyson. Obviously, didn't get drafted when they had the chance. He's a Gippsland boy, so he'll be looking to impress him. I'm sure there's plenty of family and friends here to wish him on and hope he goes well. Saints came unglued again, or Kavanagh got dumped by Jack Stephen. Conor McKenna, not a bad looking kick, didn't quite hit the target. Saunders, oh, that's dangerous.
Telegraphed it.
Jones is there to receive and should be able to put this through, or at least handball over the top. And Giles gets the honour of kicking Essendon's 4th goal of the quarter. Jonathan Giles has kicked 3 for the afternoon.
It was just a telegraphed hand pass. Shenton, he knew there was a player there, but a few seconds elapsed before he actually got hold of the footy. And by the time he went to give it to that player, it had been closed down. McKernan had come in, got the spoil in, and then the Bombers had numbers running towards goal. And what it has done is just tightened the gap a little bit, made it interesting again. It keeps Essendon within striking distance.
Back to 16. 15 scoring shots to 9 overall in favour of St Kilda. Another beautiful bounce. Longer hooked it down, but it's McKernan with a follow-up. Decent kick, Giles. Almost a free against Goddard. Play on the call. Well done. Right. So we're down to the last 5 minutes, which means there's time on from now in this 3rd term. Shenton watching Langford closely. McKernan dominates in the air. Thrust forward from Goddard. Play on.
They've both done well, McKernan and Giles, haven't they?
So, I was about to say the same thing. I think they both showed enough that certainly Bell Chambers will probably start as the #1 ruckman. They've both shown they can support him and maybe even put pressure on him to make sure he's playing well. Give them some options.
Well, Bell Chambers had a horror year last year, really, didn't he, with injury, and couldn't get his body right, and his form certainly suffered. Paddy Ryder was able to flourish. All St Kilda at the back, but the pressure remains, and they felt it one after another after another. There was enough there that numbers saw them stay in possession.
One of the interesting things about the McKernan-Giles argument as to who plays, Jono, is you know what you'll get is a consistent, experienced output from Giles. McKernan perhaps has more upside. You never quite know whether you're going to get it all.
Saad, Woody bearing down. Saad was able to stay afloat. Now he goes to ground.
Trap beneath his legs. He'll get pinged here.
Yep.
He was always in trouble, wasn't he? Once he went to ground, dived in at the legs of Brown. The ball didn't release. He was always gone.
How have you seen Mitch Brown's game?
I think he's had a very solid game. Yeah, he's always been up the back of McCartan on the lead. Hasn't really given him an inch all day. He's been beaten once on the lead from McCartan that I can remember in this game. McCartan went back and kicked that goal, but other than that, Mitch Brown has been very, very solid.
Good cheer for Aaron Heppel too.
Straight back, guys.
There's ice on the hammy of Seb Ross, and
Start separated.
He won't be feeling particularly happy at the moment. You do so much work, so much conditioning, so much training, and then the muscle just pings like that. Let's hope it's the lower grade end.
Start the meter again, straight back.
Would have been a recovery week, you'd think, for most parts too, for St Kilda coming off the game, and now they would have had their higher block building up with a couple of weeks off before their next performance. So that's why a lot of the senior players are out here today, because they do have a fair gap between performances. But
Jack Stephen might have clocked one in there. The funny thing is, though, no matter how hard you train or how much work you do, the transition from training to actually playing games, you just can't quite simulate it on the training track, can you?
Play on, you.
And the ball going every which way.
Bad barrel off one step either.
Sam Michael, Embry.
It's a scary word at football clubs, the word review. When you hear the hamstring situation, St Kilda, there's Montagna. He's had a good 6 or 7 minutes on the bench just recovering. I think that he'll spend a bit of time forward of the footy now. He's had a huge pre-season. He's been their shining light as a leader down there. Given Rewald's absence through the pre-season period, he's been the mainstay on every training session at Seaford.
There's an eye on Lukey Dunstan as well. Can you wire down there? He hobbled off the ground.
Yeah, he has. He looks in a bit of discomfort, doesn't he, as he walks along. This is it here. I think it might be a direct contact injury, hopefully. Footy with Gleeson.
Certainly didn't go high on him, McKernan, but perhaps unlucky he didn't get a 50-metre penalty for not enabling him to play on
blocking the run.
Rid of the footy.
Dunstan's fine, boys. He's just sore, Hutto. As you can see, he's just moving his way back to the bench. I think he's had enough of this experience at Morwell.
That's a real up and under from Billy Longer. Tough for Blake Acres.
It's a good pick-up.
Bruce came late. No free kick. Moody decided to keep it alive. Josh Bruce, he's got dizzy as he spins out of there.
Well, he was unlucky. He was the one making the play there. You can't blame him. He attacked the footy, got spun around, but he's been really competitive up forward. I haven't minded his game today, and I think he's got a bit to offer.
Jones. Moody, back to Jones again.
Oh, that was an interesting handball.
Oh, classy pick-up from Sard. Really wanted to hit a teammate and didn't rush it. Sinclair, that's a well-placed ball. Well done to Bruce. It's a really good passage of play there for the Saints. Sard looks sharp, doesn't he?
Look at that Jones's handball. He was in trouble, and he's just thumped it away.
Maybe one of the Saints boys called out to him.
Well, he's worked hard. He's had 18 possessions.
He's done well.
On that occasion, he would have been better just throwing it on the boot, kicking it towards the boundary line. Even if you get pinged for deliberate, you've got time to recover and let your defensive setup get in place.
His hair looks a bit darker in an Essendon jumper.
Important kick, because if he kicks this, it's virtually back to the half-time deficit.
We've got a good view. We'll know early. We'll accept it. Dunstan got right in our line of vision. We had no idea.
Timing's everything, and Lukey Dunstan, he wanted to get a good view of it as well.
Well, they've taken one goal off the half-time deficit, the Bombers, so they've got themselves in a position to challenge in the last term.
He's had a rough couple of minutes, Luke Dunstan. He's over here on the boundary line. The boundary umpire's just ran into him, so he's just getting over that corky at full forward. Now he's in trouble.
We're down to the last seconds.
Big spoils. That Goddard landed heavily afterwards. Landed flat on his back.
So, the walking wounded the Saints at the moment.
That hurts. He landed heavily.
He'll have time at least during this three-quarter time break to get himself back together. It's the Saints by 17. There's a better quarter of footy, though, and plenty to look forward to in the last coming up on Fox Footy. Well, here we are in Morwell and ready for one more quarter between St Kilda and Essendon. The Bombers were better in that third term. They were able to kick one goal more than the Saints, and the game started to really open up a little bit. Jason Dunstall and Brad Johnson.
Yeah, it did. And you see there on screen Adam Kingsley, very highly regarded down at St Kilda land, barking instructions with the midfielder. Tell you what, though, wasn't that big when playing against him. Oh, I reckon he's been doing more weights in the off-season than some of the players, to be honest, I don't. He's seriously got some good size on him.
Using the facilities down there.
I think so. A bit of Arnie Schwarzenegger about him.
I thought Sean Edwards really important for the Bombers coming back into the game in their third term. Kicked a couple of goals, looked lively up forward. Very good at finding space, and he certainly has a good kick on him. Again, they'd want to probably kick the first goal of the Bombers to really get their tails up. It's going to be interesting to see how the two teams fight this fourth term out.
Well, probably the most significant thing out of the day, I think, is going to be this story regarding St Kilda's continued injury issues, David King.
Oh, it certainly is, Hutto. There's no doubt about that. And Seb Ross has gone down again, as we spoke about earlier, lunging for a ball in the middle of the ground. Looks like he's done that left hamstring. How severe, we're not quite sure at the moment. But that's 4 now in the space of a fortnight, the St Kilda Football Club. So concerns for the strength and conditioning staff down there. We hear there's a review going on, or ongoing, we should say. But I'd have to feel some concern for Alan Richardson to be worried about with the program in isolation, given the fact they need to push games into this young list. This next 4 to 5 weeks is really important for them.
All right, margin 17. Thanks, Kingy. Maybe we can chat during this last quarter, boys, about what we've seen from the young Bombers, also the young Saints, but obviously it's a bit of a mishmash for the Bombers of VFL players, top-up players, and some of their youngsters, their 3rd and 4th year players that really wanted to play today to get to prove that their worth to the club. What have you seen?
Well, I mentioned Edwards moments ago, and I think he'll probably play senior footy at some stage this season. I think Jason Ashby's another one that's looked very, very good.
He's made a couple of mistakes.
Yeah, but down at half-back, he's looked like he's tried to really make things happen from half-back. I've liked him. I've got to tell you, Marcus Merigliani, I think, has been terrific as I guess, the leader of the top-up players. I think you said he was skipper of the VFL side. He looks pretty comfortable. You know, it wouldn't surprise me if someone saw him do this and think, you know what, this bloke can play at this level. He just hasn't really had the opportunity.
No, he's had 19 disposals and used the ball really well. The Bombers certainly have put together a very competitive team today, and the margin stands at 17. Let's see what the last quarter has in store for us. Spinning through was Weller, but O'Brien beat him to it when it mattered. Chapman, they've got it to centre-half forward's touched, so fell nicely for Goddard, who seems to have recovered. Plenty of air in the kick out to the wing, and time was on the side of Loney. Was able to skip through and give it back to Weller. Dunstan gets himself balanced. Weller again. Montaigne, they're all getting the feel of the footy. Dunstan further. Now Loney inside 50. Tippenwoody was bearing down, and there's a good trap on the line by Tim Membry.
Who the Essendon player was? It might have been Gleeson, was it, that over-committed up on the wing.
He runs around Membry.
Kicks the goal.
And does. Puts it through, and it's back to a 23-point difference between the two teams.
It was a good finish by Membry. I was just talking about Gleeson. He over-committed and poleaxed himself. He went to spoil up on the wing, allowed the ball to get behind, which is why they were able to move it forward quickly there. This is the one. That's him over-committing, and he just landed very heavily. It looks like he's hyperextended the right peg and then landed pretty heavily afterwards as well. So he was a little slow and proppy, but he's on his feet. Has gone back into the defensive 50, so that's a good sign that he hasn't had to drag himself off the ground, and he's also got that right knee reasonably heavily strapped.
It's amazing you can do something like that and get up and walk around, and others are just the most innocuous little, like Eric McKenzie did, and you can be gone for the season. Sometimes it just isn't fair. Under pressure straight away was Polkinghorne, but was able to work it back. Kavanagh. Langford has a couple to beat. Tippenwoody was there. Here's Langford again.
It's good spoil from Hugh Goddard on that occasion, John. He does have a good leap, and he's putting himself in the right position to kill the ball now and come over the top with some big spoils.
He's using his body well in these situations, and look, defensively, you can see the growth from my knowledge of it and being a part of the AFL Academy system and seeing him grow. It's gone to another level again. So that's on the back of the defensive work that he's been able to learn, especially as we've mentioned with Danny Frawley being down at St Kilda now, and how good of a fullback he was for the Saints for so long.
Good kick back in the corridor.
Loney again keeping them guessing. Speared it into the pocket. Falls away with Membry. We've seen his cleverness around goal. And this time he's sprayed into the crowd.
Just got bumped as he was trying to screw it around the corner.
Kavanagh dangerous into the square. Oh, 1, 2, 3. Ahmed Saad. He'll take that. And the Saints lead by 29. Bombers not happy back there.
No, looking for a chop of the arm free kick. James Hird wouldn't have been impressed because it was a. Let's have a look here. I think it's a reasonably valid claim. I think he had the arm pulled.
Josh Freezer, that was.
Although it was I tell you what, it's a dangerous place to kick to such a tight contest. Well, I think there might have been a valid argument for an arm chop there.
Set it up, guys.
Mind you, we get the benefit of replays and all those sorts of things. The umpire's got to make a split-second view, and he obviously believed that Saad got enough of the ball for a legitimate spoil.
First goal for Ahmed Saad for the afternoon, but he's been prominent up there. He's definitely been in the thick of it. Saints with the first 2 goals. And looking to add to that. Geary, been a good leader for them today. Back to the wing, Nunes.
Good early body from Brown on that occasion. Got McCartan in under the footy. Was able to take quite easy mark in the end.
Here's Merigliani again.
And look, to the strict letter of the law, John, you could argue that was before the ball was within 5 metres. But you've got to allow players in a one-on-one contest to use their body, use their strength.
And their judgment as well.
I'd never want that to be anything other than the mark to Mitch Brown.
Bombers just stayed ahead of the game, but now they've turned it over. And Nunes decides to run and get involved again. Now they're charging forward. Kick comes in from Loney, and the snap for goal looks pretty fair from Minchington. So the Saints starting to really open this game up now. They're out to a 35-point lead.
Been impressed with Jack Loney. It was good vision. Now, he didn't quite hit the target with the kick, but he knew where he was going to go all the time. He knew Minchington was in there on his own in space, and he opened it up beautifully.
I'm not sure it was meant for Minchington, but I'll give it to him.
I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt.
I think that's the best no-look kick I've ever seen, Jace.
It looked like that's where he was looking once the ball left his boot.
We'll give it to him.
Otherwise, what was he trying to do?
I think he was trying to go to the top of the goal square.
I think the young fella just knew what he was doing there.
We'll give it to him.
It was a good finish from Minchington.
It was.
62nd.
Well, a lot to like about Jack Loney. And the Saints really need all the young talent they can muster as they build this list. Dunstan. Oh, that's well placed. And the height of Tom Hickey is able just to drag it down, and he's decided to keep it moving. Not sure about the wisdom of that.
That's a big bloke that doesn't have the confidence in his own ability to kick.
And now we get to see with a Loney for three.
Jack Loney there. Look, they've been good for 3 quarters, the Bombers. But the real risk now is that this becomes a blowout, and that would be disappointing for the effort that they've been able to give in the first 3 terms.
He saw Luke Dunstan just hobbling off the ground again. That cork is just obviously getting worse.
Just threw it on the boot, and I think he'd hit the target pretty fortunately too.
Here's Loney then. Going to give it a chance. Look at that for a kick. He looks every inch of footballer, doesn't he, Jack Loney? He's obviously not a tall man by AFL standards, Jono, I think 174.
It's a great thing, though, Hutto, all sizes and shapes.
That's right.
If you're good enough, you're good enough.
He's just a natural player, knows where to run, uses that speed and endurance that he's got to get to the right spots. And as we mentioned a little bit earlier, the impact of the smaller player in today's game is significant across the competition. Every side has got a couple now that push forward, they get up through the midfield to give a bit of a chop out. So there's a spot, and he's got to grab that spot, and he's done that today.
Out to 41 now, all of a sudden. After we thought the Bombers were in touch at 3/4 time.
It's 4 quick goals to nothing.
We've only been going 7 minutes in this quarter. So there is time for Essendon to respond here and try and string some goals together.
So it's only been a couple of brief periods. There was the last 2 or 3 minutes of the first half where the Saints kicked 3 goals. Now the first 6 or 7 minutes of this term, they've kicked 4 goals. So if you just get caught napping at this level, you get punished very quickly.
Plenty of Saints and Bomber fans here today, Maul, too. Red and black and white all around the
red
ground.
and black, but you're never quite sure who they're supporting.
It was around August, Hutto, last year that they got the heads up that they will get a NAB challenge game. So plenty of preparation time.
Well, the ground's in great nick.
Well, it is. It is fantastic. Walking across it is amazing condition. A little bit muddy last August, so they've had to do a lot of work to get it to this level. It's just a treat.
Across the face it runs.
Oh, I thought that was off his knee.
Oh,
he's saying it was off his knee. So he's a little bit stiff there, Mitch Clisby. Yeah, I think the boundary umpire said to the field, yeah, it hit his knee, and he'd just forgotten that that's actually, it's got to hit below the knee for it to be out the front. It's got to hit the shin.
The ball's on its way back in. McKernan brings it down. Work through from Hickey. They're away again. Let's just inside the line for Membry, who's covered plenty of territory. Armitage up to 15 disposals now.
10 possessions and a goal for Membry.
It's looked okay. Bombs it to the wing. Plenty of big men flying there. Giles was one of them. Bruce another. Bruce got the handball out. Now he gets a chance to go again. Nunes.
Just on the ground, Sard went straight forward.
Just skulking away there in the half forward flank.
That's how they roll small forwards, though. And you finished off with a couple of seasons down there, Jono. Very good at finding space and just lurking and sneaking ahead.
one thing you shouldn't have to teach is how to run a forward. It's one thing you should not have to teach.
Actually, if you read the game well, it can be a very important skill to have.
Giles. Bruce comes away O'Brien. Back to the wing again. St Kilda with an extra body. The outnumber. Right. Just the required distance to Blake Acres. He's been okay too.
Yeah, another one who's been very solid.
A lot of injuries last year in his first year, and in fact in his draft season he had injuries as well. The Saints still picked him at pick 19, I think it was. McCartan. What have you made of him first up, Jace?
He presents well. We had Jono talking about him a little earlier on, who obviously has had a bit to do with him and knows him very, very well. He looks a natural forward. He leads well. He reads the play well. He hasn't had much good service, I wouldn't say, today. He had one good pass, which he mopped up and kicked the goal very, very well. But he's had a couple of opportunities where the kick just missed him. But he's always looking to compete, and I like that.
Longo to Dunstan. Right. He was smart enough not to take clean possession, I think they're right. Worked well for him. There's a careful pass, just misses Membry, and Mitch Brown is a little uncertain what to do with it.
He's a little upset with himself there, Tim Membry. Got off the chain on the lead and got a good pass. Just went straight through the hands. Shaking the head.
Giles, the fist. Dunstan read it superbly. And unfortunately, the kick not matching the early play. Out to 42 points now.
He looks like a player, Luke Dunstan, that they're going to invest a lot of money in terms of strapping and tape over the journey. He's taped to the eyeballs every time you see him.
Hand over the jumpers now, don't they, at St Kilda, and I think Lenny handed it over to him at the end of last year, which is a terrific honour. I think he showed that even in his short time, he's a good chance to do that number justice, Luke Dunstan. So he's getting into the pocket. He's Ahmed Saad again. Saunders firing away. Akers with a big fly.
Who takes number 12 in a couple of years? We'll give him a couple of years.
Well,
McCart might just be ready to come down.
You never know.
32 to 12.
There's Dunstan on one leg trying to fly, but it's going to go Essendon's way. In the back. Oh, that's unlucky. Stiff on Akers. Was looking to go for one of his runs, but got stymied and had to kick it instead, right across half back. Jackson Merritt, who started the game well, he's had, in fact, had 18 disposals, so his hands on the footy a fair bit. Lots of handballs, just 5 kicks and 14 handballs, Jackson Merritt. Jones, the pressure, getting hot. Heppel loses it. And they team up well, the Saints. Right, with aggressive handball. Again into the middle. This is Sinclair. Off to Weller for 6 only. Make that 1.
Paul Chapman's going to come from the ground. Just looked like he's either tired or a little sore a moment ago.
Jake Long.
Jace, one thing that fast ball movement does give you is multiple goal kickers. Because the speed of ball going inside that forward 50 opens up for midfielders, for half forwards, for key post players to get involved. They've kicked 13 goals today, St Kilda, 12 different goal scorers. I think that's a great sign, a great positive.
Well picked up, mate.
Couldn't agree more, because they can't put all the eggs in one basket. You can't expect Nick Revolt to lead you to a win every week. And if you're prepared to play the risk-reward game, knowing that they're calculated risks that can reap big rewards, I think St Kilda have shown already that Alan Richardson has a pretty attacking game plan that's going to be very effective if they are good enough to control the use of the footy.
How long do you think before they can push themselves back into contention for fighting for finals?
Yeah, look, it's a difficult one. I still think they're a number of recruits short of where they need to be, and, you know, they're going to get those year in, year out. So maybe 3 or 4 years, Kingy.
Bruce, he's worked that pretty nicely, but then it goes back the other way.
What makes it even more difficult again is list management these days. So the Saints are coming from the bottom to get into that top 8, but the top 8 sides are not going to potentially drop from that area back to 17th and 18th in the competition. You might have one that happens to, but look, in 3 to 4 years' time, the competition as a whole is just going to be super strong.
You wouldn't think they could do it any quicker, Kingy, would you?
No, I'm with you. List management is the key. You're right, Jono. Between 2008 and 2010, they added 24 players to their list, and of those 24, only 3 remain. Yep. So they haven't done themselves any favours through that window when they were a chance to win one.
They have picked up some good types the last couple of seasons, though.
It'll be interesting to see whether Nick Revolt can still be around and playing when they're starting to push towards the finals. You wouldn't think he'd be around when they're pushing for high finals honours, but he seems to just, even though he's had the degenerative knee problem, he's still going strong.
Yeah, look, it'll just depend on the wear and tear on the body, because he's a tremendous athlete. We know that. He's a great competitor. And he's certainly someone I think they'd love to have, as you said, John, play him deeper forward, maybe take a little bit of the toll of the game off his body in coming seasons and get as much out of him as he can, provided he's still got the drive to continue to put himself through what he does.
Templeton, Langford.
Sometimes perspective changes, Hutto, when you have a family.
Back into the middle. Tippenwoody and Wright.
Push.
Now maybe Tipper can use his pace and get to it.
I like him as a competitor. I think he's got something to offer.
Over to Heppel. Saints, as we've mentioned, as the game's gone on in the contests, have just started to win more and more of them, and also be able to cover the ground.
Oh, there's a good fend, but it was also a good attempt to hold him up. That was Jack Sinclair, I think.
I guess in terms of real fitness and conditioning, you've got one team that have done full AFL pre-season and another that have, I guess, done VFL or secondary competition preparation. It's just from a time point of view, with full-time athletes versus those that are part-time. It's probably likely to tell over a full match.
So look at this fend coming through, and it's Jack Sinclair that's trying to stop a much bigger opponent. It's a decent old fend from Sam Michael. He's a big bloke, but I tell you what, I reckon he did well, Jack Sinclair. Didn't take a backward step. He had a crack.
Kavanagh skies one towards Jones. Jack Nunes has done a good job for them today, the Saints. 19 disposals for Nunes. Paddy McCartan having a break. He's a diabetic, isn't he?
Yes, he is.
He's been able to manage that really well.
Yeah, very, very well. He's had great education around it and been able to obviously test what works for him over a long period of time now. So he's found that, and it certainly doesn't have an effect on the way that he goes about his footy.
We saw another torpedo of sorts there before. Dalglish. Bit of space for the poke kick over the top from Clisby, and he finds Merritt. He's got that step too close, and then, I think that's well spotted.
Came from the downfield umpire. It's a beautiful smother. And then I think Merritt was just a little bit overzealous in trying to tackle him and just caught him a little high.
Templeton. Oh, some element of danger about that kick as well from Michael. He needs to maintain possession. Edwards. A couple of years with the Giants. Last year came to Essendon and didn't get a senior game. Played regularly in the VFL. Merritt. And unfortunately for the Bombers, that was all set up for Shenton. Free kick paid, taken by Geary.
Got some numbers too.
As they bolt to the outer side, Mitchington takes the mark and into the pocket. Oh, it was aimed up at Sard. McCartan comes just at the right time to keep it in and then screws it back nicely to Bruce. The Saints looking for another as we get closer to the final siren.
Well done by McCartan, but that's that kick going into the forward 50 is the one that St Kilda have to get right. We've spoken a lot with David King, looking at the fast play on down the middle when you can, move the ball quickly, give yourself opportunities. You've also got to be good enough at speed to be able to hit targets. And there were plenty of targets there. It just took young Paddy McCartan to mop it up and create a goal-scoring opportunity.
This to take the margin out beyond 50. Already 4 goals, 4-0 in this last quarter. And you can make it 5 goals, 4.
Looks like he's been doing a bit of work on his goal kicking, Josh Bruce.
He's confident, doesn't he?
It looks a pretty straight runner, but I don't know if it's as natural as some kicking styles, but it's effective. He keeps everything in line. He kicks through the footy and he's getting the reward.
Well, he's had the 7 disposals on the game, but looking across the game, he's actually been quite dominant, I think, in terms of what he's been able to do. His contested work's been very good. He's always competed around the marking contest. He's taken the 6 marks himself. He's only kicked the 2 goals, but certainly been a regular presenter at the footy for St Kilda today.
4 of those marks inside 50. Sorry, Kingy.
Just having a look at the setup of the commentary box today, and there's a lot of stress around in the football community, but there's been no more stress on those 2 struts in the middle there, Jace. They've had to reinforce that for you, and I'm glad to see it's got through the day.
I hope the rain comes now, Kingy.
It's not over yet, Kingy.
There's still down.
Still 2.5 minutes remaining. Chapman.
Hope you cut yourself on the fence.
Here's Giles. Lots of harmony at Fox Footy. That's what we like. Support for one another.
I hope he gets taken to by the crowd. Look at him enjoying himself, Kingy.
He is.
Tipperary out to Merritt as they try and set up a last shot or 2. Goddard.
Got better as the game's gone on. I reckon he's done what he's had to do, Hugh Goddard. Been competitive. He's just punched the ball away when he's needed to. Picked up a few possessions and been able to just chip the ball to a teammate in space most of the time. It's the 8 possessions.
Bit of Spud Frawley coming out in there as he gets the big fist to the footy.
He'll be competitive at that. Don't worry about it. Look, you know, we have a lot of fun with Spud, and he's one of our great friends here at Fox Footy. But he was one hell of a defender, and he'll teach the defenders, even the existing ones that might think they're extremely experienced. It'll serve them well spending time with Spud.
That didn't quite...
As Cameron Shenton has a horror moment, I think we call it, Hudder.
He wasn't helped by the kick from Goddard, which...
No, but he should never have dropped it.
No.
Should never have dropped it. Certainly Spud will be reviewing that with him during the week, I promise you.
Oh, yeah.
So it was touched off the boot.
Very high.
But that's a chest mark.
Yeah.
You got to take that.
We'll go from golden fist to coach killer with Spud. There's every chance as well that
he has his eye off the footy.
Yeah.
Looking at what was around him before he actually had possession. Take the ball first, then you can assess. And he knows what he's done.
Sean Edwards was the man to capitalise, kicked his 3rd goal. So he's had a pretty good afternoon.
What are the chances of a St Kilda player being up there in the Golden Fist Award this year, Jason?
Back to 45 points the difference. Saints got an opportunity in the last 80 seconds or so for a goal. Saunders held on to it for a long time just to get himself right. And he's able to capitalise and put it through for St Kilda's 15th goal as they raise the bat. They get their 100. 15-11-101 to 8-2-50.
That's a good tap from Tom Hickey. I think he's going to be a very good ruckman for a long time, Tom Hickey. He's got a good understanding of where to hit the ball, how to palm the ball down. And if he adds a little bit more around the ground to his game, I think he's capable of taking good marks. If he can push forward and maybe kick the odd goal, he becomes a really big asset for St Kilda Footy Club.
Saunders has been pretty good today, Jono. 17 disposals. 8 contested possessions and now a goal. Bring the famous number 35, of course, at St Kilda.
He has, and look, as always in this time of year, look, he's found the footy. He's had a couple of mistakes that he'll be able to work on through training. But outside of that, look, there's a number of St Kilda players, especially the younger players, that will be able to walk away with plenty achieved this afternoon in their preparations for round 1.
So Shenton was a bit of a surprise for the Saints last year. Was able to come through as a rookie and force his way onto the list.
Good kicker. They kept the corridor open and allowed players to lead into that space. Akers good enough to take the mark. A little bit of pressure coming, but it was certainly kicked to his advantage. I love the way they've used the corridor as much as possible today, the Saints. And they go again.
Geary. Now up to 23 disposals. And we're down to the last 20 seconds. Akers. Here's Hickey. Just playing the second half. Bruce looking to take another mark. Couldn't quite. Morigliani being tracked to the line. And that is all. St Kilda win by 50 points against a very different-looking Essendon team. And I think the Saints will be well satisfied, other than the injury to Seb Ross, with their afternoon's work here at Morwell.
I think they're pretty impressive, Jono. St Kilda, I think we expected them to win against a side that was cobbled together with some top-up players in the Bombers. And the Bombers tried very hard for 3 quarters. But I think the Saints have shown the benefit of a good pre-season. Alan Richardson getting his game plan to start to permeate throughout the minds of the players, having them switch on to know what they want to do as soon as they get the footy. It's starting to become instinctive how he wants them to play and how they're starting to play.
Yeah, they ran out of legs, the Bombers, this afternoon, but across the board, look, Clint Jones was very good for them. O'Brien found plenty of ball as well, both those players on screen, but from across the board, it really was St Kilda and what they were able to achieve.
Let's get down to David King with one of the experienced Saints.
One of the stars for the Saints, and again today, Lee, fantastic.
Yeah, had a bit of a run across half-back, so at times you can get a bit of easy ball, and other times when we don't use the ball so well, you're pretty quick to defend. But that was a good effort by the guys. Obviously, it was a tough circumstances for us. There was a little bit of pressure on a young group in a weird sort of way, so I thought they handled it pretty well, and in the end, I think the boys are pretty good.
What about the pre-season? How'd you get through it being an older fella?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, they're getting harder, and it's not because I'm getting older. They're just getting tougher for all these young blokes, but everyone's super fit. We're in good shape. We've had a good summer. We know it's going to be tough work this year. We're going to have to be patient at times, but I think the group's coming on really well, and hopefully we just keep improving.
Who really excited you through the pre-season and again today?
Oh, look, I'm really excited about Jack Billings. I think he'll be a beauty. Unfortunately, he's out for a couple of weeks to hammy. Jack Nunes has stepped up. Luke Dunstan's going to improve. Those sort of second, third, fourth year guys are the ones we're looking for to step up and just continually improve.
You looked very relaxed today on the bench, I've got to say. You're very calm today. You weren't weary at all.
No, I don't want to peak too early, King. We've still got a long way to go until round 1, so it's a long season, so I've just got to make sure I look after the body.
Great start, mate. Well done.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Did it on the bit, Lee Montagna. Cruised around mainly across half-back, picking up possessions at will.
27 disposals for the veteran Saint. And the boys from Seaford, occasionally Moorabbin, have won by 50 points in Morwell over the Bombers. Back with more in a moment on Fox Footy.